Hi guys, welcome to the Logic Tree Institute. So with the CFA July exam starting to be like within next 10 days, many students are coming to me and they are asking me a common question, how they should do the revision for their exam. So the major problem that the students are facing is that they say, so we have done all the readings, we have done with the also questions as well, we have practiced questions for each reading, but we are not able to recall it. We don't remember like what was the concepts, what were the topics, what were the formulas were there in that chapter that they have read 10-15 days back. So with this, a common fear or a phobia you can say that the students are having is, okay sir, if we forget when we are giving the exam during that moment, if we are not able to recall that particular concept or that particular formula, then we will not be able to score high in our exams. So this is a very common challenge, a common problem that students are facing. So that's why I decided to make this video in which I will be discussing a revision strategy which you guys can follow in order to maximize your score in your CFA exams. So let's discuss the strategy. So guys, talking about my strategy, it is pretty much simple. I call it a RPM strategy. Now, RPM in this, R stands for revision, P stands for practice, and M stands for mocks. Now guys, please follow one thing. When I say revision, it does not mean that I will be going and reading that topic again, word by word, sentence by sentence. When I say revision, what does it mean? It is that you are just giving a glance of the topic. When I say glance, what does it mean? So primarily, you are focusing on covering the concept. And the second thing, that is the formulas. For example, let's consider a topic. Let's randomly consider a topic of normal distribution. Now, if I have to revise this topic, normal distribution from my books, how will I do it? So I will not be reading it word by word. I will not be reading it by sentence by sentence. So what I will focus on? So first thing that I will focus on the properties of the normal distribution. So, okay, the value of x varies from minus infinity to plus infinity. It is symmetrical in nature. So these are the basic properties that I will recall. Then I will move to the formula. So basic formula of the normal distribution, what was that? So z is equal to x minus nu by sigma. So I will recall this. Then what will I do? Like simpler, I will even go to the one or two examples since it is a numerical topic. Now most of you, like we have other topics as well, like which are theoretical in nature. For that, it is not valid. But for topic like this, like normal distribution, where we are having numerical questions, so I will be going to the 2 or 3 examples at most. So this is what I will take. So if I see, it will hardly take me around 5 to 10 minutes only to go with the normal distribution topic. So I will be glancing it over the normal distribution within 5 to 10 minutes. Now, if you go through the whole chapter for this one, so that this chapter is your common probability distribution. Now, by doing this methodology, I'm sure it will take you less than 1 hour to complete the whole chapter, to complete the whole reading. And that is what I recommend. So whenever you're doing the revision, make sure you don't spend more than 1 hour on each reading. So 1 hour is the maximum limit. So 1 hour is the maximum limit. You don't have to spend more than that. Now, talking about, guys, now there are some chapters. Let's say, for instance, let's take the case of reading 2 of ethics. Now, this is a theoretical topic, and the material that has been covered in reading 2 is already discussed in reading 3. So there is no need of doing such type of reading. So we can skip that. Similarly, we have such theoretical concepts, theoretical chapters, which are not important from the exam perspective. So we have that in each subject, like we have that in equity, we have that in portfolio, we have that in fixed income. So even in FRA as well. So if I talk about the FRA, so you're reading 11 and 12 of FRA. They are not that much important from the exam perspective. So for such type of readings, it is not like that you will be spending like 1 hour on that. So for such type of readings, you will be spending around 10 minutes, 15 minutes. You have to be, you have to be, you have to see this yourself. Like your chapter seems to be important or not. If this is a fairly short reading, then you can give it up only like 10 to 15 minutes for that. That is more than sufficient. Now, one thing that common like people ask, student ask me that, sir, I'm left with couple of readings. I have not read it so far. What should I do now? So see, guys, what I recommend is try to have try to get the things which you have in your head. So instead of going for the things that you don't have, which you don't know, I don't recommend that. So instead of that, what I recommend is go for the topics that you have already read. So go for that topics first. Go for the things that you know. Go for the things that you have in your head. Let's say, reading 3 of ethics. Let's say you said, okay, I have not read this reading so far. So what should I do? Should I go for the revision? Should I revise the other readings that I have done? Or should I read this new reading? So guys, what I recommend is like you should go for the topics that you have read, the things that you have already covered. At this moment, when you are only having around 10 days, like some people would be having 11, some people would be having 12, depending upon the exam window, what I recommend is go for the topics which you have already done. So plan in such a manner that the topics that you have covered, that should be revised first. See, what happens is when you go for the exam, when you are taking your exam, so sometimes what you feel is that you are doing some question and you feel that, oh, I have done such kind of question. I have done it, I have practiced it, but I have not revised it. If I would have spent 5 minutes on this topic, then I would be able to recall the formula, I would be able to recall the concept, and I will be able to done this question. So this thing, when you have already done, spend you so much of time on reading the topic, on understanding the topic, on solving and practicing the questions, but that has gone into waste. So what I recommend is the things that you have, which you know, which you have already covered, revise that first. So make plan accordingly. So divide your 10 days, 15 days, whatever you have in your hand till your exam, make them. So divide them as such that first revision is done. Then the critical readings. So critical readings, which you have not covered so far. then you should focus on these critical readings. Like, for instance, reading 2 of corporate finance, that is related to capital budgeting. Now, that is a fairly important reading. If you have not done it, then it would be difficult for you to get a good score in corporate finance. So divide in such a manner that first few days, like if you have 10 days in your hand, to spend 3, 4, 5 days for revision. And in the rest 5 days, what you should do is you should cover the critical readings. So if you are left with, let's say, if you are left with 10 readings, don't focus on these 10. Identify. You can talk to any of your friends. You can talk to any of your senior who has done the CFA exam. You can talk to you can even mail us. So you can ask, like, out of these 10 readings, which are your critical readings? So you can ask any of a mentor. So you can identify these critical readings. Then after doing the revision of your topics that you have already done, then you can identify out of 10, if you have identified, let's say 5 to 6 are critical readings, then you can spend rest of your 5 days or 6 days on your reading the critical chapters here. So main thing is focus on what you have in your hand. So first, what thing you know, make it strong, and then proceed to the next. So this is something that I suggest to my students. Now, after doing this, after giving the glance, that is not fair enough. Practically speaking, if you just give a glance, I'm not sure that you will be able to clear your exams. So giving a glance only is not sufficient. The next thing that is important is practice. So what I recommend is for each reading, practice at least 50 questions. Now, these 50 questions, it can be, let's say it can be from the curriculum. So we have questions at the back of each chapter of curriculum. So you can practice that. If you are following any of the question banks, then you can do that questions from there. If you are following some readings, then we have some examples in that. Even in some books, we have some quizzes. So you can follow that quiz as well. And even what I recommend is on the CFA website, on your students portal, you get approximately 3,000 questions for your level 1. So I recommend, like, for each person who is going to appear for the level 1 exam, to solve this, at least solve this CFA website questions. That is a basic requirement, I'm saying. So when you are doing this, so you will be able to solve like at least 50 questions from each reading. Now guys, when I say, now there are some exceptions to this. Now we were discussing, like in the previous, also in the revision, while we were discussing the revision, we were also discussing about some theoretical concepts, like reading 2 of ethics, even reading 1 of corporate finance. That is also a theoretical topic. So for such topics, there would be hardly 50 questions would be there. For such topics, we can do, let's say if we are available with 15, 20 questions, then also it is more than enough. So for such readings, such theoretical concepts, which are not that much of important from the exam perspective, for that, if you are going to solve around 50 to 20 questions, that is fair enough. But for the important one, it is mandatory that at least you should solve 50 questions. If you want to do more than that, sure you can do it, but make plan first. So make sure like you are having sufficient time. Should not be the case that you are solving around 200 questions from one chapter, but you are not left with much time to solve the questions, like 50 questions at least for the other chapters. So make sure you divide your work, you plan your things accordingly such that you should be able to do this minimum benchmark for each reading. Now, the third pillar of our revision strategy, that is mocks. This is pretty much important. And this is the part where most of the student lacks. When I ask my students, like, you should go and attempt for mock, a basic answer that I got is, sir, my whole syllabus has not been covered yet. How can I give the mocks? Guys, even if you are thinking about the same, then I don't recommend, like, this is not the strategy. So I would say, like, with the following, like with the strategy that you are aiming, that I will give the mocks once my whole syllabus will be covered. You will not be able to give any mock till the exam. Believe me. Because the thing is, till the time you are not writing for your exam, even a day before your exam, your syllabus will not be covered. You will not be confident and you will not write any of the mock. And that is the part where students makes a big mistake. Mocks are not only important that they give you an overview, but also they give you a feel of the exam. How will you go and appear? How I will solve it? A basic thing, like when you give your first mock, you will first thing that you will realize is, okay, which subject should I do it first? Should I go for ethics? Should I go for FRA? Should I go for derivatives? Or should I go for any other? So which subject should I solve first? This is the thing, these questions you will face only and only when you are writing the mocks. If you don't write the mocks, these questions you will be facing in the exam directly. And if that is the case, I'm not confident that you will be able to clear your exam then. So what I recommend is, now with 10 days in hand, what I recommend, give at least 6 mocks. So these mocks has to be alternative. Like you can give one mock on Wednesday, one mock on Monday, other mock can be on Wednesday, then it can be on Friday. So on the alternative days you can give. So when I say 6 mocks, that means even if you give up one paper only, let's say if you are writing only a paper 1, which is of around 2.5 hours, less than 2.5 hours. So that is also fair enough. Even if you're writing only one exam, that is fair enough. But when the last mock, when you are attempting, so it should be a day or 2 days before the exam. So when the last mock, when you are doing, in that case, make sure you write paper 1 as well as paper 2. So make sure that you are writing both papers in your last mocks. Guys, please note, this is a minimum that I'm giving you. This is not the maximum case. This is the minimum barometer that I'm giving. So these are the minimum things that are expected. So make sure you should write at least one full exam level mock. So you are giving paper 1 and paper 2 on the same date, just like within the 5 hours window that we have in our exam as well. So it will give you a proper feel of the exam. And when you are writing the mocks, So one benefit that you will have, you will be able to simultaneously know in which topic you are good, in which topic you are not good. Then you can frame your strategy. Which subject should I go first? Should I go with the subjects that I'm strong at? Or should I go with the subjects that I'm not much strong with? Or should I go with the subjects that are like theoretical subjects? I have to cram it. So I've just crammed it before the exam. So I'm able to recall it once. So these things you will get to know when you are writing the mocks. So even though when your syllabus is not covered, your whole syllabus is not there, you are done with 60%, 70%, 80% of the syllabus, still then go and write the mocks. This will even help you to revise the questions. Like when you are giving the mocks, you will get to know, okay, from this chapter, I'm seeing this much of questions. So let's say I wrote 4-5 mocks, then I got to know, okay, there are sometimes questions have been asked on probability. So that seems to be a very important topic. And in case if you have not done it, so you have the time to do it. So giving mocks will also help you to identify the critical readings. So giving this excuse that I will do it once I'm confident, or once I I cover up my whole subjects, I would fear that you will not be able to write any mock. Even before the exam, you will not be confident. Even before the exam, your syllabus will not be covered and you will not write any mock following that strategy. So apart from whether you have covered 50%, 60%, 80%, whatever part of portion of syllabus you have covered, apart from that, you will just have to start writing the mocks now. So focus on giving at least 6 mocks. So this is something I'm mentioning, at least. So you can go for the mocks, like you can follow mocks which are available on the net, or the major part that I would say, you can follow the mocks which are available on your CFA website. So you can go with that as well. So that are pretty much important mocks. So these are the main pillar. So these are my main strategy, like how you should frame your revision strategy for your CFA exam. So focus on revision, focus on practice, and side by side, start writing the mocks. So guys, with this strategy, I'm sure you will be helped, like you will feel confident. You will be feeling like, okay, I'm now able to score at least 50% of the questions. I know about that. So you will be feeling more confident, you will be feeling more knowledgeable, and you will be feeling more assured of yourself. So guys, you can follow this strategy. And how do you like it? You can mention it in in your comments. And if you guys want to watch our other videos as well, you can subscribe to our channel. You can press the bell icon. Okay, guys, thank you so much.